Let's go to Richmond, Virginia, where Troy is on the line. Troy, how can I help today?
Good afternoon, Ken. How are you doing?
I am living the dream. Troy, what are you doing?
Well, it's an honor to be speaking with you. I'm a little starstruck, so try not to choke up and ruin this whole thing.
You're doing great. Don't be starstruck. I'm telling you that right now. I'm just a dude. We're having coffee, right? We're hanging out. We're having coffee. What's on your mind?
Well, I been spending the morning listening to your book From Paycheck to Purpose, and I feel like I'm in a job that isn't quite giving me, that juice or that Kenergy that you like to talk about.
I love it.
But at the same time, I want to be content with my job and that I have currently, and I've been there for about a year and a half. I'm just a local CDL delivery driver for a company, and although driving has been my passion, just not driving in that setting that the company can provide is what I see myself being in 5 or 10 years. What would you say would be a good balance between, that contentment and making a decision on switching jobs within the career, not a complete career change, but I don't see myself being at that company in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against the company, but I'm 24 years old and I want to be doing something I love, but also want to be dependable in the marketplace and not be that job hopping guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think this is a really mature question. I think you don't have to nail it on this phone call. We might be able to figure it out. We might not. But where I'm going to go is to answer your question is I want to figure out to the best of my ability the direction I want to head and then fast forward 5 to 10 years. So we go, okay, 5-10 years from now, where would I like to be? And I'm more focused on direction than destination. It doesn't have to be crazy specific. But if I know the direction, so an example of a direction would be 5-10 years from now. Let's go 10. Let's go to 34. I think that's a good exercise. At 34, and if you're writing this down one day, just sit there and go, okay, at 34, I want to be doing this type of thing. I want to be doing it this much. I want to be making this much money. I want to be living in this particular area, if we have those kind of specifics. And by getting 10 years out, a direction, meaning we know life changes, we know things happen, but I know that and I'm making this up because I don't know what your answer is, but I know I want to be an entrepreneur. I don't know necessarily what that business is yet, but I know I want to be self-employed, and I know I want to be at a place where I've tested it, I've launched it, scaled it, and I'm making this kind of money and blah, 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 blah. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah.
Do you have any of those answers? Do you have a couple of ideas of where you'd like to be at 34?
Well, there's so many unknowns, but
I know that, but let's say that we could just
driving, that would be,
you'd like to drive.
If I'd still be driving, that would be great.
Okay.
Just, maybe not in this setting. I don't know.
What kind of driving?
Just still CDL driving. Just the company I'm with just can't provide exactly what I'm looking for.
Which is what?
Something to be. Well, I've always liked, trucks and stuff of that nature, and they can't provide that, and
okay,
I don't want to just fly the coop and then figure out that wasn't the direction I want to head. I have driving experience on both ends.
All right, let me dive in on something, because I thought at one point you told me you want to be driving. You just want to be doing a different kind of driving at 34. And so we're now 24, and you're kind of going, all right, how do I make sure I'm not a job hopper? Well, I don't think that you're going to be that person if you go, what do I need to accomplish from a qualification / experience in my work to be able to be driving that kind of truck or whatever that is for a different company? What do I have to do? Do I need to log in another year or two where I am? Or do I need to change companies where they have an actual ladder and maybe I can get there at 30, not 34? I've got to go dig, and I've got to dig on two specific things. A, what is the path, or what are the multiple pathways to what you just said you'd like to be doing at 34? And then the second thing I'm digging in on is, this is where I'm going to sit with guys that are already doing it. And I'm going to spend enough time with them, and maybe I'm going to spend enough time with 5 or 6 guys to get enough feedback to where I've got a bucket full of feedback. Remember when you had a Halloween bag or bucket and you dump all the candy out on the table for mom and dad to look at? Do you remember that, Troy?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I want to do with feedback. I want to talk to enough truckers to go, I can dump all that feedback, good, the bad, right? The really awful, the ambiguous, whatever, all that feedback. I want to be able to gather all of it and dump it on the table and then go, all right, knowing what I know now, my head and heart should be able to go ding, 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 or bang. You got me?
Yeah, and I feel like I've been doing that.
I think you have too. I think you know you want to do
people. It. Yeah, and
so what's holding you up? There's something else holding you up. You called me today for a specific reason. It's, you know what you want to do. Sounds like to me.
Well, there's a certain amount of risk involved, and I've heard both ends of the stories.
What's the risk? Tell me what you found out.
Well, you know, guys taking the wrong approach and, you know, buying a truck with a loan and then not getting the work that they need. And
great.
So they end up.
Great. Let's stop for a second.
Going back to where they were.
Great. So let's pause. That's a great one. So what must be true for you not to get into debt and at that point risk, if you don't get jobs, losing it all? What has to be true?
You got to be able to cash flow that.
Boom.
And
so that may take some time, because a truck, you got to find out how much a truck would cost, right?
Yeah.
All right. Have you found out?
Yeah, I have.
Well, now we got a goal. What's that number?
Well, it could go anywhere from 30 to 50 to 70,000 until you're on the road.
Great. All right. So let's split the difference just for conversation. Okay, between 30 and 70. Let's just call it. Let's call it 50. Okay. And let's say we get 50,000. How long would it take you to save $50,000 based on your reality right now?
Well, probably about a year.
Fantastic.
I've already got over that save, but me and my wife have been saving for a house, and it's kind of hard to convince her that I need to buy a truck instead of a house.
Yes, and let me jump on your wife's side of things here and tell you that she's right. You need to get the house taken care of, then the truck.
Yeah, I'm there too.
But you can still save that up pretty quickly and still be a very young man. My goodness, you're only 24 right now. All right, so what else is a risk besides that? So we're not going to go into debt. We're going to pay cash for our first truck, and that way we're not in any way financially in any risk at all. You could always sell the truck if the loads don't come, right? So we remove that risk. What's another risk?
I guess just the emotional part of it. Maybe you not, turns out you had high expectations and it's just not what you wanted after all, I guess.
I get it. But again, we've addressed that, right? We talked to enough guys and we have really clear expectations. Just like you gave me a range of 30 to 70 on a truck, we also know the range of reality that could happen in driving a truck. This is the worst that could be in that industry. This is the best that can be. If I go into it knowing that it could be a bit of a roller coaster, I'm all good. I can bear that. This is just about knowledge. You've got some unknowns. Let's go get known. And then we know we can do this.